Hi there, everybody. Greetings from my channel again. Consider this. She is scrolling when she was giggling at a meme on her phone. Then suddenly, your name comes to her mind. That unexpected draw and spark aren't the result of happenstance. It is a really primitive response. If you know the unseen levers that pull at a woman's heart, you can make one. The majority of men are currently pursuing her in the incorrect manner. In the hopes that she will eventually notice, I keep sending her texts and compliments. Nevertheless, rather than getting closer, she keeps drifting away. Why? Because surface gestures cannot be used to earn emotional attachment. The subtle architecture of emotion that she isn't even aware she is craving is sculpted in the invisible moments. When was the last time you experienced an irresistible attraction to someone? At first, you were unaware of it. You disregarded it. Perhaps you even convinced yourself that it was only a matter of attraction. But something had already captured your heart and thoughts in the back of your head. Women are drawn to that unseen connection, that magnetic pull. They hardly ever discover it, though. The majority of males lose the spark altogether, misinterpret cues, and feel they must be present all the time. Availability does not breed attachment. It develops out of difficulty, enigma, and the feeling that spending time with you is an adventure, a tale she cannot live without. It's not manipulation in the cheesy cartoonish sense, though. This entails comprehending female psychology and discovering what instinctively sets off her emotional circuits. Without wearing yourself out or changing into someone you're not, it's about giving her a sense of vitality, worth, and profound understanding. Though it must be exact, every word, glance, and silence has the capacity to sow a profound emotional bond. She won't be attached, but she will admire you and possibly even like you if you make a mistake. This is the disturbing reality that most guys choose not to acknowledge. Women are not attracted to you for who you are. When they are with you, they fall in love with the way you make them feel about themselves. They pursue feelings rather than accomplishments or credentials. Regardless of your wealth, humor, or strength, if you are unable to connect with her emotional wiring, she will gently and silently drift away, leaving you to wonder what went wrong. For this reason, the majority of males either fall into obscurity or remain in the buddy zone. Let me ask you a question. Are you prepared to go beyond simple attraction and establish a pull so powerful that she will miss you even when you're not around and can't stop thinking and fantasizing about you? Because the key to changing the game is comprehending this hidden psychology, where you become the guy she can't forget and cease being simply another guy. Every male believes he understands what women desire. Show kindness, have faith in yourself, be humorous. Indeed, things are helpful, but they are only superficial. Something much more subdued and potent is the true attraction, resonance on an emotional level. Women's reactions to men who arouse emotions they find difficult to control are hardwired, sensations that arouse interest, enthusiasm, and perhaps a tinge of desire. Consider it. What makes you think about specific women from your past? The ones that weren't always the most pleasant to be around? Because long after they were gone, you continued to feel something you couldn't quite put your finger on. The identical idea operates in the opposite direction. You have to take charge of her emotions if you want her to be emotionally invested in you. The first step is to comprehend contrast. Women are drawn to contrasts in energy, focus, and emotion rather than chaos. Warm up, then move away. Be present, but also a little enigmatic. After sending her a message that makes her smile, observe how her mind functions. Desire is sparked by the push-pull impact this produces. Manipulation is not what it is. She may now pursue the emotional highs she desires, since it is in sync with the natural rhythm of attraction. Most males predictably overwhelm her world. The opposite, unpredictability that thrills without hurting is what you want. Next, comprehend validation without being overloaded. When women feel more deeply noticed, they become attached. A man hides from everyone else when he recognizes certain aspects of them. It's not necessary to commend her appearance every day. Rather, pay attention to subtleties, the quiet assurance in her laughter, or the way her eyes light up when she talks about something she loves. She starts to connect your presence with comprehension, acceptance, and emotional safety when you express or acknowledge these. It is impossible to resist that combo. And here's what males don't know: words are not as powerful as silence. She will be drawn to you if you just pause, look thoughtfully, or even tease her subtly. When you're not there, she will start to think about you, reliving your exchanges and speculating about your next move. Attachment is fueled by that mental cycle. When done right, she starts to crave your attention, your energy, and the subtle ways you give her life instead of merely like you. It takes time to become attached. It is grown as if it were a slow burning fire. Furthermore, it thrives on meaningful acknowledgement, emotional depth, and surprise. Attempting to make it overexed, over-explain, or overcommit are the men who fail, the men who make it. They realize that the key levers of desire are contrast, emotional resonance, and absence. Imagine now that she thinks of you occasionally and that a sudden grin appears on her face. It's not luck, emotional architecture like that. And the game stops being about pursuing once you figure out how to make that. It's about being the person she can't stop pursuing in her thoughts. The majority of guys are unaware of this fact. You don't have to ask for emotional attachment. You set it off without her even realizing it. Women are predisposed to react in particular ways to specific interaction patterns, patterns that evoke feelings of exhilaration, warmth, and even mild reliance. Consider it this way: she wants more than simply attention. She seeks for events that simultaneously make her feel safe, seen, and alive. Additionally, you become more than simply another person in her life if you can master these patterns. She starts thinking about you all the time and unconsciously seeks you out. Emotional contrast is the initial motif. Women are drawn to guys who evoke strong feelings in them, not always good ones, but ones that are memorable. You want to give her emotional, experience peaks and troughs, but you don't want to generate drama. Be lighthearted, playful, and a touch enigmatic. Then transition to tender and sincere moments of comprehension. The uncertainty and suspense are intoxicating. Her mind begins to replay your exchanges, examine your behaviors, and, above all, hanker for the feelings of euphoria that only you can provide. Selective availability is the second. Because they believe that presence equates to attraction, most guys make themselves available at all times. The fact is that scarcity increases attachment when it is balanced by high-quality interaction. You create a psychological vacuum when you take a moment to respond or when you withdraw after a heated exchange. She thinks of you to fill that void in her mind. She starts to wonder about your activities, your companion, and most significantly, when she will experience that surge of connection again. Desire is developed more quickly by that subtle tension than by continuous attentiveness. Third, comprehend the concept of emotional mirroring. Men who mirror and intensify their inner emotions are naturally attractive to women. Match her excitement if it exists. If she is thoughtful, reflect her depth. This does not imply imitation. It entails paying attention to her energy and reacting in a way that gives her a sense of understanding that most men can never match. When it's done right, she begins to connect your presence with her own positive feelings, establishing a psychological loop that connects you to her emotional fulfillment. Lastly, cement bonding is triggered by recollection. Little, seemingly unimportant things like a joke you both share, a quick remark, or seeing something special about her turn as mental bookmarks. She remembers these times when she is by herself, accruing unconsciously high emotional debt. She starts to think about you without knowing why, and all of a sudden, you seem to be necessary. Big gestures aren't what attachment is all about. It all comes down to deep emotional resonance, contrast, patterns, and consistency. Convenience does not appeal to women. They fall in love with the man who makes them feel appreciated, thrilled, and gradually reliant on the emotional moment he provides. She is more than just attracted after you get this down pat. She wonders why she can't stop feeling the way you make her feel and is inextricably linked to you, thinking of you even while you're far away. Most guys fail because they concentrate on the incorrect behaviors and squander months or even years attempting to make a woman feel attached. Doing more is not the goal of attachment. It all comes down to strategic action. It involves directing her emotional journey in such a way that she starts to want for your company without even realizing it. There is a small but significant behavioral difference between a man who becomes remembered and one who is forgotten. Begin with a moderate level of intensity. You want your encounters to be lively rather than repetitive. Text her something that makes her laugh or grin. Don't follow up right away. Then be alert but not overbearing when you meet in person. Hear her tales. Ensure she feels heard. After that, give her time to think and process. This draws attention, which strengthens bonds. She starts mentally reliving these occasions as she waits for your next conversation. Emotional reliance is based on that mental loop. Then get her imagination going. Women gravitate towards males who help them see the possibilities. Without pressuring someone to commit, give tiny clues about past experiences or lighthearted future intentions. A friendly, "We should check out that place sometime," or "I'd love to see you try this," piques interest and inspires optimism. Her imagination begins to fill in the details, conjuring up situations in which you play a key role in her pleasure, joy, or fascination. The attachment intensifies in a quiet, inward, and unrelenting manner. Next, engage in strategic empathy. This goes beyond merely listening. She feels better understood than anyone else because it is reflecting back her inner state. She ought to experience that with you. You already understand her on a subtle level, so she doesn't need to elaborate. Women are drawn to mirrors of emotion. They connect with men who accept emotions without passing judgment. This maintains the emotional pull while fostering security. Additionally, employ positive reinforcement in moderation. React warmly and with gratitude when she reaches out, acknowledges you, or reveals something personal. Don't go overboard, though. Making your attention feel valued rather than expected is crucial. She should feel as though she wants more of the special energy you give her after every encounter. Lastly, make enduring emotional and sensory impressions with a fun joke, a confident look, and a well-timed arm contact. She becomes emotionally attached to you as a result of these tiny cues that set off subconscious memory loops. Without her ever being aware of it, these signs gradually create a strong bond. She starts to yearn for these times, thinking of you when she's by herself and looking forward to seeing you in ways she can't explain. By mastering these behavioral techniques, you can develop an emotional reliance that feels natural, unavoidable, and compelling rather than just attraction. She starts to need you, not simply want to be around you. Most males struggle with communication. It's not that they don't talk enough, rather, it's that they speak without realizing the emotional impact of what they say. Women react to more than just material. They react to emotional resonance, timing, and context. Every tone, word, and pause has the power to either strengthen or weaken attachment. Successful guys are aware that communication is more about establishing emotional weight than it is about sharing knowledge. Learn how to be intriguing first. Don't divulge all of your personal information at once. Leave room for inquiry while sharing just enough information to be engaging. I had the wildest experience today is an example of a text message I can't believe it took place. Raises inquiries. She will be interested in learning more, connecting, and sharing your story. Her mind is stimulated by intrigue, which causes her to consider you even when they are not speaking. She starts to mentally fill in the blanks and develops a psychological attraction to you. Use emotive tagging after that. This entails connecting your words, stories, or presence to powerful, uplifting feelings. Give her a moment of excitement, laughter, or understanding, then gently back off. She begins to directly associate those feelings with you. She eventually develops a craving for the energy you provide her, since it feels like an emotional reward. Women are drawn to you because of how you make them feel in the narrative of her life, not just because of who you are. Practice timed vulnerability as well. Talk about yourself in ways that feel deliberate and selective rather than frantic. A subconscious connection is formed when two people share a dream, a phobia, or a personal narrative. She starts to notice aspects of you that other people miss. Additionally, she feels excluded and trusted, which strengthens her relationship. The secret is equilibrium. Give just enough information to establish a connection while maintaining enough mystery to keep her interested. Then gently mimic her tone and speech. Return the teasing if she's being playful. If she is thoughtful, respond accordingly. This does not imply imitating her. It entails striking a chord with her condition so that subconsciously she feels understood. She can't avoid the magnetic pull of emotional mirroring, which creates the impression that you are in harmony with her inner world. Lastly, use callbacks to construct mental loops. Make reference to her previous remarks, jokes, or experiences. She feels connected, appreciated, and remembered as a result. It has a modest yet potent effect. In between conversations, she begins to think about you, reliving past experiences, looking forward to new ones, and yearning for the emotional rush that only you can give. When you get the hang of it, communication becomes your instrument for automatically getting her attention. She wants more than just your attention. Subconsciously, she starts to crave your company and links you to emotional satisfaction that no one else can provide. That is the psychological force behind attachment that is invisible. Let's now discuss the unseen levers that quicken emotional bonding. She will think about you, want to be with you, and emotionally rely on your attention because of these psychological hooks. These aren't games or trickery. These are nuanced realities about the way her mind interprets security, desire, and connection. Men who are aware of these hooks transcend mere desire. She is nearly drawn to them against her will by the unseen bond they establish. The first attraction is the unpredictability of emotions. Women are predisposed to noticing changes in energy levels. Attachment stalls if every interaction is predictable. However, it piques interest and excitement if your energy fluctuates in regulated ways, such as being warm, playful, intense, or taunting. She starts examining your actions, considering you while you're not there, and attempting to figure out your tendencies. That mental investment turns into a force of attraction. She grows closer to you the more she thinks about you. The intermittent reward is the second hook. This is straightforward but quite powerful. React in unexpected and meaningful ways when she reaches out, shares something personal, or engages emotionally. She occasionally receives the whole affection, focus, and approval she desires. You withhold a little bit at times. The highs she experiences from you start to race through her consciousness. This sporadic pattern resembles an unbreakable psychological cycle. This same idea is what makes relationships and experiences unforgettable. Third, discreetly use confidence and status clues. Men that exude confidence are attractive to women. This is not conceit. It all comes down to emotional stability, decisiveness, and the quiet confidence that you are on your own. This assurance works like glue when paired with awareness of her emotional state. At the same time, she starts to associate you with excitement, safety, and dependability, an uncommon combination that speeds up attachment. Fourth, employ a bonding hook that is based on common vulnerability. Tell about a difficult situation, a profound event, or an introspective thought that shows genuineness and depth. She begins to value you not only for what you accomplish, but also for who you are underneath when this vulnerability is combined with lighthearted exchanges or playful teasing. This builds an internal emotional debt that pulls you closer. Lastly, purposefully leave memory imprints. Small details, like an inside joke, a line she finds funny, or an intriguing face, become ingrained in her mind. These impressions build up over time, creating a mental map of you that she keeps going back to. Without even understanding why, she begins to want your presence, yearn for encounters, and think about you at strange times. These hooks are required. They are necessary if you want to form an emotional bond quickly and deeply. When used carefully, you stop chasing her. She starts racing after the feelings you arouse in her, circling you and experiencing a connection that is so solid that time and distance cannot easily sever. You are now aware of the psychological hooks, behavioral patterns, communication techniques, and emotional triggers that lead to attachment. However, knowledge is insufficient on its own. You must a structure to firmly establish her feelings, such that she finds it impossible to envision her life without you. Most males fall short here. They produce sparks, but they are never able to start a long-lasting fire. In actuality, consistency, emotional layering, and perceived individuality are the foundations of enduring connection. Start with impact consistency rather than presence. You don't have to constantly be everywhere. You must make an impression each time you engage. Every exchange, look, and interaction should have purpose and leave her with a memory that will continue to remind her of you. Even when you're not around, she ought to sense your enthusiasm. Attachment develops more quickly the stronger and more favorable the imprint. Next, concentrate on layering emotions. A variety of emotional stimuli should be incorporated into each interaction. Intensity, warmth, validation, a hint of humor, and a slight mystery. Her subconscious is best overwhelmed by this multifaceted strategy. Her mind starts linking you to a convoluted, compulsive emotional concoction, resulting in attachment that seems inevitable and normal. She is seeking your company, not just enjoying it. Next, produce experiences that cannot be replaced. Moments are what people remember, not words. Share special, energizing, or private moments. She remembers even the smallest gestures, a well-timed compliment, an unplanned giggle, or a common passion explored in a novel way. Every time she thinks back on those encounters, the emotional bond between you and her grows stronger. Lastly, continue to be subtly autonomous. Men who strike a balance between emotional closeness and independence seem to attract women the most. She must believe that you have a whole life, passions, and unchangeable boundaries. She is not turned off by this. It increases the value of your presence by getting her emotionally invested in both the guy you are outside of these moments and the moments you spend together. She doesn't like you when you mix psychological hooks, layered encounters, strategic emotional triggers, and autonomy. She starts to think about you all the time, longs for your company, and effortlessly and naturally connects with your energy. You turn into the man she will never forget. The person who continues to consume her feelings and thoughts long after you have departed. I have a question for you now. What, in her opinion, is the formula for unbreakable attachment if emotional connection is equal to trust, plus excitement and attraction is equal to mystery times intensity? Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with the man who needs to hear this reality, and leave your response in the comments section.